Hey guys, Dan here from YGA and welcome to our weekly challenge this week. And this is actually the start of 4. So if you didn't watch my video last week, this month is all about songwriting. It's a songwriting challenge and it goes hand in hand with the Ionian course that we're tackling at the moment. So this week's song challenge comes a week into this kind of Ionian course where we've talked a lot about starting to harmonize a key and creating a key essentially. So we're going to be starting to put some of that knowledge, and we haven't by any means covered everything yet, but we certainly will be doing it as we go through the Ionian course. And this week we're going to be putting some of that knowledge together and start this process of songwriting. So just to outline this for you really clearly, in the 4 weeks, in week 1, so i.e. today, we're going to be doing the basis, the bare bones of a song, the kind of chord structure, how we find those chords and how we get a little bit creative putting those together. Then in the second week, we're going to really add a lot of embellishments to that. So we're going to take those basic chords and start looking at sevenths and ninths and using pentatonics and different ideas to create something a little bit more than just that chord box, that basic chord pattern. Then in week 3, we're going to be talking about the kind of lead aspects, how we can bring in melody and lead guitar solos on top of our songwriting. And finally, in the 4th week, which is really exciting for me, I'm going to be doing all of this on a looper pedal. And we've got this really cool loop station down here. We kind of upgraded our looper pedal from the Ditto to a loop station. So it's got a longer recording time. So we're going to be using that for all 3 weeks, okay? But after that, we're going to be going into our studio. So we're going to go over to Studio A, the red room, and we're going to actually record this whole thing and create a track. So by the end of this, there will be a track which I'll start writing today. It's all going to be off the top of my head, totally from scratch, going through the theory with you guys. And by the end of the 4th week, we'll have a full track recorded, mixed, mastered with all the parts. And we're going to go through every process, the mistakes and all, okay? That's the most important thing, in fact, that all the mistakes are going to be left in, okay? Everything that's not great or as we deem to be not great, we'll leave it in there and we'll gradually refine it. This is the process of songwriting, okay? So with that said and done, today is all about just creating that bass, that very, very solid bass of just the chord pattern. Now, the first thing I want to say about this is when you break down if you take any of your favorite songs, so you might be really into your pop music, you might be into your funk or your blues or whatever it is, at the core of those songs, there's normally a relatively simple, now this is very general, it doesn't have to be simple, but there's a solid pattern of chord movements that are happening, okay? And as you'll see as we go through this process, we then layer that up with melody, with harmony, with embellishments, with singing, with drums, with bass, with all of that stuff. But at the core, at the solid grounding of all of that is normally just a nice simple set of chords that we can define. And that's what we're going to be doing now, okay? One other caveat is we're going to be working very much within the key. We're talking about Ionian this month. We're going to be working with the concept of the major scale, and we're not really going to push outside of that. But remember, rules are there to be broken. You can, of course, take it with a pinch of salt and add whatever you think sounds good. But I'm going to be trying to stick within these basic keys first. I always think, and I always say to my students, you know, if we get really good at just working with the theory first and sticking within those confounds, as you get better and better, you can choose to go outside of that. You can be like, okay, I actually want to bring in something that I know is not within this theory, but I'm deliberately choosing to break that. And that's a better place to be at than just guessing as you're going. So let's bring back the concepts. And this is something, like I said, we're doing in the Ionian course as we speak. Okay, so make sure you're following along with that. But the first thing we need to do when we're songwriting, or I think in this process, we're certainly going to do it first, is create the kind of chord concept, okay? So I'm going to pick us a key, and we're going to stick with a major key, okay? And we're going to stick with the key of A major, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is outline my A major scale. Now, for those of you who might be wondering, well, why did I pick the key of A major? It's totally random, but there might be a more refined choice there in terms of if you're songwriting, you're a singer-songwriter, you might have a couple of keys that you prefer to sing over. You know, you might say to yourself, well, do you know what? I really like singing in the key of G major or B major or whatever it might be. But for me, it's just a simple process of it's kind of nice and central here on the guitar. Simple as that. Also, I like working with a key that's got a few more sharps and flats because it just tests us. And this one's got 3 sharps in it, okay, rather than kind of classic C major or G major with 0 or 1 sharps. So there's our scale, okay? And the thing I want to kind of drill into you guys today is not how we, but the harmonized set of chords. The how, if you're wondering about how we do that, that's in the Ionian course, okay? What we're gonna do is put it into practice now. So, here's our scale. And as you've gone through that Ionian course, we will know that we have a set of chords that we can use within that, okay? And the formula is simply this: major on the 1st degree, minor on the 2nd degree, minor on the 3rd degree. Okay, I'm now going to move to the D. Major on the 4th degree, major on the 5th degree, minor on the 6th degree. Then we've got our kind of diminished chord, okay, which you can play in a bunch of different ways. I'm going to use a shape that I haven't used for a long time, but just for the purpose of this video. A diminished chords, and then back to major. Okay, so this is what you just need to remember, okay? Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and then major again. You're back to the start. That's how you do it, okay? And like I said, if you want the real why behind all of that, that's all in the Ionian course. For now, we're just getting practical with this. So that gives you this kind of outline of chords. Whatever key you pop that on. So if I wanted to do B major, I've got my B major scale, and I'm going to apply that same formula. So major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and major, okay? So you just apply it to every single major key, and we're just working with major keys for the moment. So there we have it. So we come back to our A major. Now, what I want to give you guys now is a practical way of doing that, of thinking about that. And I'm going to give you 2 things here. If you're in the kind of position where you're kind of working with your bar chords and you haven't got to the cage stuff yet, the way to do this is like so. Okay, so what this cool little pattern is just like 2 L shapes back to back, okay? So you can easily find in your bar chords, you can find a 1, 4, 5. 1 is your basic key center, your tonal center is the A. The 4 is the D. Okay, so you literally go down, 1 string and you're on the 4 chord. Then you go across 2 frets on the same string and you're on the 5 chord. That's how easy it is to find a 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. At that point, what I like to do, and again, I think this works just in terms of a memorization exercise, is you move over 1 more tone, so that's 2 frets, and you create a minor chord. Okay? And this is actually the 6 chords, because if you imagine you've done the 4, the 5, and now the 6. Now, once you've got to the 6, you can do a similar shape, but in reverse. So I can now go from the 6 minor, and then I go up to the E string, and I get the 3 minor, so the 3rd degree as a minor, and then I go back 2 frets to the 2nd degree minor. So once I've found the 6, which is there, I go up and back in minor chord, minor bar chords, and I've got my 3 minor chords of the key. So very quickly, using a very simple kind of, I call it L shape, it's like a jigsaw, right? So you get your 1, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2. Now, it doesn't matter too much that you remember it's a 6, 3, 2. I would highly recommend doing it, but for now, just get it in your fingers. And you can hear, we haven't even started doing any songwriting yet, and we're already starting to create songs, aren't we? That could be a song. In fact, one song comes to mind there as I play through that, a Bon Jovi track. But that's 1, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2. Okay? And to add the diminished, all you do is you go where your 1 chord is, back a semitone, and you'd play, and I'm not going to get into this, but you'd play any kind of diminished chord shape. Anything you like, might be diminished, might be minor 7 flat 5. We'll get into that in the next video. And then that pulls you back to the 1. Okay? So that's the first thing I would suggest. If you're in kind of a bar chord world, this is where your songwriting is going to start from here, okay? And it's just then about getting creative with that. Now, we'll come to that in a minute, okay? that's how I would find it in bar chords. Now, a second thing for you guys that are a bit beyond bar chords and actually working through the cage system, quick caveat, if you are working through the cage system, make sure you take our major cage course, okay? It's absolutely perfect. This will make a lot of sense once you start doing that, okay? So there's a major cage and a minor cage one, absolutely free, of course, on YouTube and on the website. Now, with that, you've got a few more options because you can build chords from more positions than just this kind of E and A shape, which is what the bar chords are. So the little drilling of exercise I'd like you guys, if you're in that category, to do is this. It looks like this. Okay. Now, you can probably see that that's a little bit more refined than going. And it's refined for two reasons. One, we're literally going up in degrees of the scale. So we're going 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord, and then 1 chord. So we're literally going up in degrees of the scale, and we're using way more shapes. We're using the cage system to create that. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this. Remember, you can get the tab for this and the chords for this over on our website as well. The link will be in the description. Okay, but just to go through it, we've got the 1 chord as our bar chord. The 2 chord is a G shape. Okay, so I've got root, flat third, fifth, and then back to that root again. And again, remember, I'm not going to go through this in detail here, so it's all about just going over. If you want these shapes, check it out on the website. Then you've got the 3 chord of the minor, using our minor bar chord, the A minor shape. Then you've got the 4 chord of the major, coming back to our bar chord, A shape. Then the 5 chord, and I'm using, because I want to keep it all in this one position of the fretboard, rather than jumping up here, I'm using the C shape. Okay. Then I'm coming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from here, using my D minor shape as an A, as an F sharp, minor. Then when I come up to the 7th degree, I've got a really nice little shape here. Okay, which is the minor 7 flat 5. Okay, don't worry about that too much for now. It's just a great shape you can pop in as your diminished chord, and then back to the 1. Okay, so now we've got that outlined. So just to summarize, if you're at the position where you're learning bar chords, working through bar chords, use that first concept to do this, what I'm about to show you. And if you're working through cage chords and you're getting comfortable with that, then use that second pattern of finding the chords in the key, okay? With one of those decided, now we're gonna start getting creative, okay? And I want you guys to put together 4 chords, okay? We're gonna try and have an A section and a B section, and this is your challenge. We're gonna put 4 chords together in the A section, and then we can be a bit more, let's see how the B section comes together, okay? But it's just a simple case of just using your ear. Don't overthink this, guys. Don't overcomplicate this. Let's just go with it with our ear, something that we think sounds nice, okay? Now, at this point, I always think it's good, before you even start this, to get some kind of groove in place. A concept of what style are we working with here? Are we gonna do like a pop track where we might want this kind of, you know, that kind of upbeat vibe with a strum? Or are we doing a folk thing? I could say that a few more times for you. Where we're doing like a finger pattern. You know, are we doing that? Are we doing like a funky thing where we might want a little bit more kind of, you know, are we doing a bit more of like a 16th note groove here? Are we gonna do something a bit more soulful? Are we gonna do more like this kind of thing? You know, are we gonna, you know, do a bit more of a groove like that? Okay, so that's the first step that you need to kind of, you know, depending on your style of music, what you like to listen to. Is it gonna be like a rock thing? You're gonna put a little bit of gain on and give it kind of the big. Is that what you want to get out of this? You know, this is your song, guys. This is not about me showing you a song. This is about you creating your song, okay? So I'm gonna choose, because it's a style of music I really love, a bit more of like a soulful, groovy thing. It's just typically where I tend to gravitate because it's the style of music I'll always listen to and really enjoy, okay? And that's what I want my foundation of my song to be, okay? But of course, your challenge is to create your song, all right? So whatever you want yours to be, that's what it will become. But I'm gonna do this on camera now, and I'm gonna go through a few ideas. Remember, I'm grounding it all, I'm rooting it all in the key of A major. So A is gonna feel like my home. And remember, we talk about this a lot in the Ionian course, the feeling that this is the resolve, okay? So I'm just gonna have a bit of fun here. I'm gonna have a bit of a play around. I'm gonna try and find some kind of cool chords here. I'm gonna roughly aim for 4. Remember, there's no gospel with this. It can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 2. You know, it can be 3, it can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, so, but we need something. So let me just start. I'm gonna start on A, and I'm gonna kind of work through. I'm gonna use my combination of the cage system and that, the kind of bar chord system to find something I really like here. But the chords I'm working with is the A, the B minor, C sharp minor, D, E major, F sharp minor. Then I've got my diminished chord, so my G sharp diminished of some kind, and back to the A. So let's have a little go with this. Let's see what comes up. I'm gonna get my groove is gonna be this kind of like the boom ka, the boom boom ka. I'm gonna go with that. The boom boom. So I know I'm gonna start with the A. So let's just get that in there. I wasn't in love with that. I'm gonna just keep trying. So this time I'm gonna try going to the second. So I quite like that as like a passing. So I'm gonna go from the second, and then I'm gonna jump to a different chord. So I might go from the first, kind of playing around on that, and then I'm gonna get a passing chord, and then maybe F sharp minor. So that's the 6th chord. So let's have a go. I'm not in love with it. Let's keep going. So A. I'm not going to go to that 6th chord. Don't like the sound of that too much. I'm going to go, I like to the B, and then I think I might just try and go up just to the... I might move them a bit quicker, so... No, 4 chord. The boom, bam, the boom. Okay, getting closer, getting closer. Okay, I think we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with a pretty simple progression. I'm gonna go from the 1, I'm gonna do a little passing on the 2 before going to the 6. Then I'm gonna hit the 4. And then I might chuck in a little passing diminished chord, okay? So, but I'll play it a bit higher. So something like this. And again, this is a big, this is a big thing that you can take as long as you want doing this. I'm obviously doing it on camera, so I'm not gonna take 3 hours, which it could well take. But like I said, I don't think it's worth overthinking this at this point. I think it's worth kind of creating something that you kind of like the sound of. If you're a singer, something where you feel like you could sing quite nicely over the top of this, but we just get something together. Okay, I'm going to put that on a little bit of a loop and kind of listen back to that. So the benefit of having that loop station, that loop on your pedal board, is that you can now actually listen back to it and kind of see what you like about it. But fundamentally, I'm quite happy with that. It's quite familiar sounding, as you will definitely find. When you play within the Ionian key, within the kind of major scale, these chord patterns, these progressions, they've been used. Trust me, they've been used. But the progression itself is not the be-all and end-all of the track. It needs to have the right feel for whatever you're trying to create. But that's enough, because then you're going to build a lot of different things on top of that, okay? A lot of your favorite pop songs will have very, very similar progressions underneath, okay? So let's just get this loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Just checking it's roughly in time. Sounds pretty good. Might just start bringing in a few other inversions. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. That is a start, isn't it? So I'm just going to kind of pause that for a second. So that's a start, all right? And for me, you know, it's simple, it's clear, it's something I can work with at this point, okay? And that's all we need. Remember, this is we're not expecting this song to turn out to be the next, you know, John Lennon masterpiece. Okay, we're not there yet. We're just working on our songwriting skills. So we create something, we're not overthinking it, and now we're going to see how we can kind of develop this. All right. So that's my like A section, and then I might come up with a B section. So my B section, typically what that just means is it goes somewhere else. So it might be like a verse and a chorus. Okay. So I'm going to do something which I like as a songwriting tool, which is to make my B section just simpler. Okay, so I'm going to pull back in the B section. So rather than having this A as the core, I'm going to make the core the 2 chord now. So like this kind of, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do for my B section. Okay, and you'll see the kind of the change to the sound of the track when I go to that. So let's just do this loop. I'm going to kind of have this loop off again. So I'm going to just get rid of it. And this time I'm going to go around my chord. I'm going to go around my chord twice and then to the B section and then come back to the main section. So A section times 2, B section times 1, and that's going to be our repeat, okay? There's no rules when it comes to the actual structure of songwriting. We're not worrying about that at the moment. You can go traditional with the kind of, you know, verse, chorus. For now, I'm just looking for an A and a B section just to get the most out of the chords. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to hit that B section. And back to the A. So you can see that B section is basically nothing, but it will do enough. It will pull away from that main set of chords. It creates a little bit of tension, in my opinion, as we'll hear in a second, which will come back. So as we draw to that B section, now we're expecting the A, but it's the B. It's the B chord. And that pulls me back to section A, okay? Very happy with that, very happy with that. Like I said, the number one enemy of songwriting is overthinking. Don't think too hard, just go for it. Get something together that you quite like. If you've got a loop, and then kind of put it on a loop. If not, just get something penned out. Just write it on a piece of paper, record yourself on your phone or whatever so you get the groove right. And that is your task. This week, okay, alongside kind of obviously studying the course, I'm going through all of this in great, great detail. get something together. Okay, I want an A section, a B section. It can be whatever you want in whatever style, but using the development process that we've done here today. And in next week's weekly challenge, we're going to take that up to the next step.